Hello. Welcome to the second podcast episode of Play With Your Dick, Not Me. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of schedule I want to do. My husband was asking me last night, like, how often are you wanting to upload? And I'm like, I really don't know, because, unlike Jay Shetty, I still have a full-time job. No shade. I love Jay Shetty. He has snatched my entire life and has changed it. I'm actually behind on quite a few episodes. If you've never heard of Jay Shetty's On Purpose, my podcast on mindfulness and healing, you are truly missing out. He was a game changer for me when I discovered him a few years ago. I just haven't listened to any of his podcasts lately, but they are so resonating, so validating, just so needed on any healing journey. Another one that I loved, but unfortunately she no longer is doing it, is Meghan Markle, who used to have a podcast called Archetypes. That one snatched my entire life too. I absolutely loved it. I had the episodes reminder on to tell me every single time she dropped an episode, because I just love that show so much, and it makes me so sad that she didn't continue with it. Like, I'm obsessed with her. Well, we're not currently friends at the moment, but I don't feel like our chapter has closed. I think that when the time is right, her and I will reconnect again. So I don't feel like our book is closed. It's bookmarked right now. But I kind of had a falling out with a very close, loving friend of mine, and I still love her. I think if I ever ran into her, I'd probably just walk up and give her a hug and then walk off, even though we're not talking. But she was the one that actually got me into the royal family, and I just love everything about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and I read his book. It was incredible. But anyway, she had an amazing podcast, and I wish that she would bring it back. But anyways, don't really got a schedule yet, and I'm not doing video for this one. The first episode, the video was recorded and up on YouTube. I would like to, at some point, get better equipment, better camera equipment, maybe make my own little office, to record in, that'll come later. But yeah, I also just didn't feel like being on camera today, because it's been an emotionally heavy charged day. I mean, every day feels like that. I feel like I've just been living in survival mode, especially for the last year. But I have a very emotional, mental, taxing type job. Just I'm working closely with people all day, every day, and people, they come with their baggage, they come with their problems, their sadness, their trauma, their, all this stuff. And it's my job to give them all a safe, happy place to live. And being that close to people all day, every day, and you get to know them up close and personal, and what they're going through, and when they're screaming at you, I just see their inner child coming out. And I feel like that could be said for all situations. And I think it'll help people have a better understanding of humans in general. Is when people are projecting, when they're yelling and screaming, I don't know. I feel like, due to the spiritual awakening that I had of my own this past year, I feel like whatever spiritual gifts I've always possessed but suppressed, I feel like they have really come into focus this past year and have come forward. And I've always been an empath. I've always absorbed other people's emotions. I've always loved hard and felt with my entire heart. But I feel like I just have come into just being able to read energies. Some are louder than others, and just a knowing, not with everybody, not with every single person, but because, like I said, some people are so much louder than others. But when I've been screamed at by one of my residents or something, and I can just feel their deep pain and sadness and sorrow, and not feeling heard or misunderstood, or pushed to the side or ignored. Like, I just feel their inner child. I just feel their inner child yelling at me, speaking, and it helps you just see people in a more graceful, empathetic, understanding light. Because as humans, we're kind of programmed, depending on who you are, to just react when someone's screaming at us or saying disrespectful things to us, or whatever. Like, we get into our whatever chosen defense mode and, act accordingly. But it's one thing that I feel like I've just naturally started doing as a person, is that when people are in my face screaming at me, I don't see that person. I don't see them. I see their inner child yelling at me. I see their inner child demanding to be noticed, to be heard, to be seen, to be understood, to be accepted, to be validated. I just see all that stuff. And so, yeah, people are people. They have good days and they have bad days. And this week has just been a rough week for some of the people that I care for. And I'm just confused, and I'm feeling all of what they're feeling, and it's resonating, and it's hard to get a front row seat to people suffering than to people hurting. And I find it even more particularly challenging because I'm dealing with my own stuff. I've been dealing with my own mental and emotional stuff on a very deep and heavy level for the past year. And I've been trying to process and work through grief of losing somebody that meant a great deal to me, and somebody I just never thought would leave my life. I'm not going to talk about it or go into it because it literally is my life all day, every day, 24/7. I wake up with this grief and pain. I wake up with them in my brain. I go to sleep with them in my brain, and then I dream, and they're in all my dreams. And I feel like I'm being haunted, literally, and just missing this person a lot and trying to navigate and live my life after them. So, trying to process and deal with my own stuff, which I've been pretty much doing in silence for the past year. I love my friends. I have amazing friends that show up for me, that pour into my cup. I've done a really good job, I feel, finally, of surrounding myself with the right kind of people, and the right kind of people that are good to me and good for me. And I feel like everybody should strive to only have good around them. It's good. It's beneficial to all of you, your heart, your soul, your mind. And so even though I love my friends and they've always been there and shown up for me, I'm getting to the point where I feel like I just feel like at this, how some people can kind of just feel like, all right, come on, you've been sad for a while. I've shown up for you. I've been there. I've listened. I've let you cry. But, now it's time to move on. Now it's time to pick yourself up. So I feel like, not that my friends don't want to hear it and aren't going to hold space for me, but I feel like they're tired of hearing about it. I feel like they're just over it and wanting me to be over it too. But I can't pretend to act fine when I'm not. I can't pretend to be fine when I'm not. So yeah, I've just been suffering in silence because I don't want to bother anybody. It makes people uncomfortable when you're sad all the time, or you're down and you can't pull yourself out of it. It makes people uncomfortable. All they really want to have the capacity to deal with is people being happy, people smiling. But that's not reality. It's not. And so, I want, my hope for the world is that everybody just checks on those that they love. check on that friend who's always laughing, always smiling, always going out, always going to things, inviting you to things, planning things, or just go, go, go. Because for all you know, that person is doing all that out of distraction. They're doing all that out of self-preservation, or just, a need to disassociate, or a need to just not confront what's really bothering them. And so just because you see them and they're smiling and they're happy and they're upbeat and they're talking to you and all that stuff, it doesn't mean that they're not falling apart every single night when they're by themselves. So I mean, show up for your friends that are sad and it, and show up for your friends who act like they're perfectly fine, because I can almost guarantee that they're truly not. They just don't want to be a bother to anybody. They don't want to inconvenience or make anyone uncomfortable. They don't want anybody to be put out or feel like you're still dealing with this. You're still sad. You're still grieving. You're still not okay. Like, and it's not anybody's job to make you feel better, to make you feel good. But don't we all love it though? Don't we all love it when people show up for us, when people, cover us with their love, when they're there for us, when they listen, when they give us helpful advice, when they hold us while we cry, when they just sit there silently, when they offer advice. I mean, we all love that, but we also know we can't put that responsibility on other people to fix us and take care of us. It doesn't matter if they're friends, a spouse, a parent. I mean, a parent should, my feelings are different on that. A parent should absolutely, do what they can to try to be there and show up for their kid and help them. That's their job, as a parent. I understand that you could have tried everything and your child's still not okay, but I think as a parent, you don't give up, because it's your child. I'm not saying that a friend or a spouse should give up. I mean, but sometimes people just aren't okay. And no matter what they do, they're just not okay. They're getting up every day and continuing to show up as hard as it is to get out of bed. They're getting up every day and they're doing it. They're smiling. They're putting on makeup. They're putting on a mask, and they're just day after day trying to be okay. And they're trying to show up for their spouses, their friends, their family, their kids, their boss. But inside, they're drowning, and they're not even sure if they can get up and do it again the next day. So it's not anybody's job to fix us. It's not anybody's job to make the hurt go away. I mean, as the person hurting, we do have to do the work to feel better, to heal, whether that's mindfulness podcasts, reading books on sadness, grief, healing, loss, a breakup, what have you, listening to music, dancing, doing a new hobby, moving to a new city, fresh start, hiking, journaling, seeing a therapist, taking medication for depression, anxiety, or what other mental health crisis you're going through. We have to meet ourselves halfway the best we can. But I understand that is the idea of that is exhausting, and it's hard for some people. It's so hard. And so it is good to have people in your corner and to have people that know that you're not okay, and it's okay. And they're going to continue to be there for you and do what they can. It breaks my heart to think that there are people out there and they don't have anybody. They don't have anybody that they can call, anybody that they can lean on, anybody that will just come over when they're crashing out and just really need somebody to hold them and tell them everything's going to be okay. That breaks my heart to know that there are people in the world like that. And some of the people that I take care of day to day, that's their life. And it breaks my heart that they just don't have anybody. I think everybody deserves and should have somebody, even if it's just one somebody. So I guess what I wanted to center this episode around was, first I was thinking of like friendships, but I mean, this kind of touches on that a little bit, but I think this episode is just kind of more about giving people grace, showing up for them in the ways that you would like them to show up for you, but also holding space for people that as much as they want to be there for you, they might be drowning and struggling themselves, and they're just unable to meet you where you are. They're just unable to. They want to, but they can't. And people, we should hold grace for people like that too. I mean, I have my friends, and I even am guilty of doing this, where, you know, I have friends who I know at a certain time of year, I'm not going to hear from them for a while. And I know them well enough now, because by this time every year, they are emotionally, mentally, and physically drained. They have been pouring into everybody's cup for so long. They've been doing this. They've been stretching themselves thin. They've been doing this, doing that for everybody, and not showing up for themselves. And then they just get burnt out. And I don't hear from those people for a while. The first time, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going on. So I did reach out to those people, and, you know, they told me how they were feeling. And now I know some of my friends long enough now that I don't even question it. I don't feel any sort of way if I don't hear from them for a while. I just shoot them a text, let them know I'm thinking about them. I love them. I'm here for them. I may send them a coffee, just to let them know that I'm thinking about them, because I think it's important for us to hold space for everybody in our life, and to give grace and have patience, because everybody is doing their fucking best. Everybody's doing their fucking best. And we can't always expect people to match the ways that we show up. I mean, as long as cups are being filled and things are, grace and showing up for people is being equally reciprocated throughout the friendship. Not like you just are friends with someone and they just completely drain you and expect you to do everything for them and show up for them and be there for them, and then they can never ever do the same for you. I mean, that's not equal. That's not like an even scale between you and this person. But if this person normally does show up for you, you can always depend on them. They've been a good support system in the past. And then, this behavior of them just not being able to show up is different than what you're used to. But your friend's heart, what kind of person they are. Hold space for them. Give them grace. Because a lot of times we can only meet people where they are currently, and they can only meet us as where we are, But family, friends, spouses, I just think that it's very important, that we just do our best to show up for the people we care about and check in on them. Like I said, I understand that sometimes people don't have the capacity. They don't, their batteries are on low, and I get like that sometimes. But one thing that I don't do, because it's been done to me and it hurts a lot, and I know what it feels like, and I'm not judging, because I know everybody kind of does things differently and reacts differently to sadness and grief and depression and all that. Everybody processes and handles things differently. But for me, if I'm just kind of going into myself for a while, like I said, some of my friends will do, where I just kind of unplug, not really on my phone, not really engaging, not going to things, kind of just held up in my room, trying to recharge and feel okay. If I do have friends that reach out, I make sure I respond. Maybe I can't respond in that moment because I'm crying my eyes out. but I make a mental note to respond later and just be honest with people. Be honest with them. Be like, I'm struggling right now. I can't show up, or I can't answer you, or I can't engage in this conversation in the way that you would like me to. Like, and if you have awesome people around you, they're going to get that. They're going to understand that. They're not going to guilt trip you or manipulate you or make you feel horrible. If you have good people around you and you guys are reciprocating, you got your energies are matching, or very similar, and you're pouring into each other, those people that are good for you and good to you are going to understand. And, you know, something I try to do before I come to any of my friends with anything distressing or anything that's bothering me or anything just that's giving me anxiety or just happened, I try to make a mental note to ask my friends first if they are in a good state mentally and emotionally to be able to receive the information I'm going to give them. I don't think it's healthy to unload on people without making sure that they're in a good receiving place to have whatever you need to share be dumped on them. So I do try to make an effort with my friends if I am calling them and I'm just dealing with something really heavy. I first go, I don't want to add to anything that you have been going through. I don't want to stress you out or make you upset or trigger you, whatever, you know. Are you in a place to receive? Like, is it okay for me to vent to you right now? You know, and if my friends say, I want to hear you out, I understand you're going through it, but I'm not at a place to receive this information without it causing me further discomfort, then I totally respect that. I understand. And because, yeah, we shouldn't just be going around trauma dumping on people or laying heavy things at people's feet when they're not at a place to receive it. And I personally, I think for me and all of my friends, it's equal give and take. We check in with each other. We make sure each other are in a good space to receive information. We show up for each other. We pour into each other's cups. We also understand that life gets busy. Like, one thing that I do like to say, and I stand by this, because I don't like leaving people on red. Maybe I'll read what you said and respond mentally in my head if I'm busy, but I always make sure that I get back to everybody in a timely manner. But at the same time, I do understand that people are busy. People have things going on. They've folded into themselves. They've gone into themselves and they're just not communicating with anybody right now. So I try not to take it personal. I have in the past, depending on my attachment to somebody, may have handled the sudden distance not very well. I'm a habitual person. So if you start a routine with me and maintain it, I expect you to maintain it forever. So if you suddenly just switch up and it's not like you, I may handle it in a lower vibrational way. And I've had to reconcile and deal with that and deal with the outcome of that. You know, but with my friends, I don't usually, you know, take it personal. I just, like, you know, and if it's kind of in their nature to not respond right away or for a few days or a few weeks, I just expect that if that's what that friend has kind of always done. But if my friends, you know, don't get back to me or they're busy, I don't take it personally because I understand that people are busy. But one thing that I do stand by, no matter what, I don't think anybody is too busy to respond to a text. I don't. I don't. Everybody has their phone all day long, no matter what. They may not currently be on it at the moment, depending on what the day demands of them, you know, or the kind of job that they have, or they're not allowed to have their phone in certain places. But everybody has their phone in front of their face all day, every day. So it's honestly a cop-out to me when people say that they were too busy to text somebody back. So, I mean, it can be both. I can be somebody that holds space and grace for people and understand that life gets busy. I get it. But at the same time, it can be both. And if it's a behavior that's not unlike behavior for this person, it may bother me a little more. But nobody's too busy to respond to a text. Nobody. We're all glued to our phones. I understand that people may respond in their head and just forget to respond in real life, or it may take them a few days to get back to you. Understandable. They may have saw your message and just completely forgot. That's understandable. But if it's coming from somebody who I am used to they never leave me on read. I've been accustomed to the dynamic of our relationship, friendship, whatever, that they're just somebody that I can depend on to respond, and then all of a sudden they're just not, and I've tried a few times and they're just not, and they're giving no reason whatsoever as to why. I may feel some kind of way. I may feel like I'm being ghosted, or I'm being thrown away or removed from their life, and they're just too afraid to use their words and be upfront. But no, I don't believe that anybody is too busy to respond to somebody. I just, maybe in that moment they are, but no. Like, we're on our phones, like I said, all day long. We have our, nobody is too busy. Texts are quick. I would even be fine with if someone was like, I'm going to respond to you, but I'm not in the space right now to respond. I've said that to people. That's totally acceptable. We don't have to respond to people when people expect us to respond. I understand that. Like I said, it can be both. But if this person just seems like they're just blatantly not responding, not getting back to you, they've seen your text, then you just start to have to question what's going on, and especially if it's just happened a few times. I understand that everybody processes things differently, because I do have friends that when they're going through something heavy, it doesn't matter. They're not going to respond to you. And I understand and hold space for that. I know that those people will come back around. I understand that. I absolutely understand that. But me personally, I just can't do it, because I know what it feels like to be ignored, or to be ghosted, or to have try to reach out to somebody and be there for them and show up for them, and they won't let me, and they won't respond, or they ignore me or block me or whatever. I know what that feels like. So I don't like to do it to other people. So even if I'm sitting there sobbing and all of a sudden a text comes through, I like to listen to music. Music is very healing for me. So I'm more than likely listening to songs that I resonate with, or they're just making me fucking sadder. Whatever I need to do to release and get whatever I'm feeling out, so be it. But if I'm connected to my Bluetooth and a text comes through and interrupts that song that I'm currently crying to, I'm going to respond. Maybe not in that moment while I'm so distraught, but I'm going to respond and tell that person I'm not okay, and I will talk to them when I'm okay. Because I know what that feels like, to just feel like I was not, like I was, not important enough, I guess, for lack of a better explanation, for them to give me an answer, or to respond in some kind of way. I know what that feels like. It hurts. I go a little crazy depending on who the person is. I spiral. I feel very unloved, unwanted, worthless. If I've been suddenly ghosted or ignored by somebody that I cared about or started pouring into, shown up for, and then they're gone and I don't know why. And I am one of those people that will definitely spiral. And depending on who you are in the situation and the dynamic of our bond, I will go down that weird rabbit hole of continuing to reach out, continuing to try to take back whatever control and power I feel you took from me by not responding and continuing to ignore me, and I feel like I'm chasing you. I've reacted low vibrationally in those situations if I'm deeply hurt. But I really do try to hold space for everybody and just understand that Not everybody loves like me or has a heart like me. Not everybody's gonna bend over backwards like me or pour into cups like me. And so I just try to keep that into perspective. That I do have friends that when they're going through something heavy, they're not going to respond. And I know them well enough now that I understand. And I, like I said, I'll send them a coffee, send them a text just to let them know I love them and I'm thinking about them and I'm there for them. But I really wholeheartedly believe that nobody is too busy. Maybe they're too sad. Maybe they're too depressed. Maybe they're too far gone. Maybe they're just deep into a hole they can't get out of. And I understand people not being able to respond that way. But I personally just don't do that. I think it's important, especially if somebody's taking time out of their day to reach out to me. I think it's important, no matter how bad I'm struggling. Maybe I'm not going to respond then, but I will. But I guess what I'm trying to really say is I understand when people are going through things and they can't just show up for you. They can't respond. I understand that. But at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm talking in circles now. But at the same time, is if there isn't some sort of emotional or mental thing or physical thing going on, and they're just kind of being rude and purposely blowing you off. But then they try to use the cover of being busy. Sorry, I feel like it's a cop-out. Nobody's too busy. Like I said, maybe they're too sad. Maybe they're too depressed. And I understand that. But nobody's too busy. Nobody's too busy. Maybe they can't respond right then and there. Maybe they responded in their head, like I said. But no, I just feel like nobody is too busy. So don't let people play with you in that way. I feel like don't tolerate that. Remember who you are as a person, what you allow and not allow, what you'll tolerate and not tolerate. And if this is just new, but a pattern behavior for them all of a sudden, it might be time to just cut ties. If you've tried everything and they're, just, you feel like you're constantly, resuscitating a one-sided bond with somebody, and you feel like you're the only one putting in any effort, and you can clearly see that if you stopped reaching out, if you stopped responding, would you even hear from them again? I mean, those kinds of people, protect your heart from, protect your peace from, because it can really mess you up if you continue to chase those people that clearly want nothing to do with you. But they may respond and just say that they're busy or not respond at all, and it just continues to become a pattern, and you're like, okay, because people show up for what's important for them. People talk to who they want to talk to. People show up for who they want to show up to for, and people see people who they want to see. And sometimes lines get blurred. Sometimes people string other people along, or they give mixed signals, or they breadcrumb. And it's hard to clearly see that this person is treating you some kind of way that doesn't align with you. And it may be disrespectful. It may be hurtful to you. And it's just coming from a very low vibrational place. So it's important to be mindful of that and be able to see the difference. Is this person not showing up for me? Is this person not responding? Is this person being distant with me because of something something personal is going on in their life? And they just don't have it in them to respond or be there or show up for you and how you need? Or is it clearly that they just don't want anything to do with you? And it may hurt because yesterday you guys were perfectly fine and you guys were super close and you didn't think they were ever going to go anywhere. And then today, or a few weeks, few months later, it feels like you're having to force a relationship with them, force a friendship with them, and it just seems very one-sided. You need to protect your peace and protect your heart from that, and know when it's probably best to just walk away or leave that person alone, and maybe they'll come back. But you got to protect your peace and your well-being and your mental health in the meantime, and you can't keep chasing that person, and you can't keep racking your brain and driving yourself crazy, wondering what you did or how you could have done it differently, or, you know. But I do, but like I said, I do believe, I do feel that we should really strive and really try to show up for everybody in our life the best we can, the best that we are able to. And remind people how much you love and care about them. If they enter your mind, just shoot them a quick text, call them, let them know. I always take that as a sign when certain people pop up in my head, or they continuously pop up in my head. I feel like that must mean something, that I, reach out and just let them know you were thinking of them. You have no idea how much that might mean to somebody. So yeah. I guess that's it for this episode. The takeaway: show up for people, give people grace. We don't know what the next person is going through. We don't know what they're suffering with behind closed doors. We don't know what they're healing from that they don't talk about. We don't know what they're struggling with. So just try to keep that in mind when dealing with people, either in a work setting, or your friends, or a spouse, or a neighbor. Try to just keep that in perspective. We don't know what people are dealing with. We don't. So when someone is reacting to you in a certain way, and you're feeling what they're projecting onto you, and you're feeling their energy and the deep hurt behind their yelling, try to just look at it from the perspective of, that is their inner child screaming and yelling to be heard, to be seen. Check on your quote unquote strong friends, and definitely check on your friends who are healing out loud or hurting out loud. Try to your best to show up for people and how you'd like them to show up for you. If you can't meet people where they are, if you can't equally give them what they need because you're struggling, just convey that. It doesn't have to be immediately. It doesn't have to be a long explanation. When you are able to let them know that you're struggling, I think it's important that you do. Because you have no idea, that person might be dealing with something similar, or they might have, and they can help. So just, everybody's doing their best. Everybody's trying to do their best. And just give people grace. Be empathetic and understand. We're all dealing with something, and we may not talk about it, and we may not show it. But check on people, give people grace, try to meet people where they are if you can, and reach out to people that you haven't heard from in a while if they cross your mind. If you know that it's the time of year, or just that they're currently going through something, and they're kind of just not really talking to anybody, not really engaging. Check on them. Send them a coffee. Send them a crumble cookie or something. A little note, or shoot them a text, or leave a voicemail, to let them know you're thinking of them. It might be just what they needed to pull them out of whatever they're dealing with, or it just might be something that helps. People want to know that they matter to other people. I wanted to close this out with some affirmations. I am trying to get better with creating like a meditation schedule for myself. Most days I just don't have it in me to do it, even though I feel so much better after. I usually like to do like the 5-minute morning meditations right after I get up, but it's just not a practice that I've consistently implemented, and I'm really trying to start to implement daily affirmations, journaling, gratitude journal. I have the reminders and I'm really trying to get better to stick to that schedule. But just I wanted to do a couple mindfulness, just affirmations, to bring positivity and light. I'm not an expert at this. I'm not a meditation coach. I don't make content like that. But I thought it would be nice to close this out with some affirmations. So everybody kind of says affirmations differently. So either say it along in your head or out loud. For me, I feel like it resonates deeper within me when I say it out loud. I am love. I am light. I am open to the abundance that the universe has to offer. I am standing in my truth, and I am standing in my power. I am on the exact timeline for my life that I am supposed to be on. Everything is working in my favor, and everything will happen for me exactly when it is meant to happen for me. I matter. I am love. I am light. I am open to all the gifts that the universe has in store for me. So those are just a few that came to mind. I matter. I'm important. I'm going to be okay. Life is happening for me just how it is supposed to. I am patient, and I am waiting, and I am ready for the gifts that the universe has in store for me. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen. Don't let anybody play with you. Don't let anybody play with your energy, play with your heart. Protect your peace, protect your heart, protect your mental health. Don't let anybody play with you. See you in the next episode.